Hello and welcome to the Collapse Experiment. Today, I'm talking about a new release called White Noise. I was surprised to see that this movie had been made, considering that it is based on a Don DeLillo book. And Don DeLillo, he's one of those writers. He's a writer's writer. He's the type of guy that turns writing into an art form, and it's very hard to mimic his style. There's a rhythm to it, there's a purpose. That purpose is dribbled throughout the book like a Jackson Pollock painting, kind of like that. So, White Noise takes place during the 80s, and it stars Adam Driver, who is a university professor who teaches about Hitler. Just Hitler. He knows a lot about Hitler. And, of course, him and his wife, I'm going to say current wife, are both on their fourth marriages. They have kids with several other people. And yet they have this household. He is very insecure about his profession, even though he is like nationwide the scholar on Hitler, but he does not speak German. How can you know about Hitler if you do not speak German? So yeah, he's trying to learn German, especially because students of his are required to take at least a year of German before they can take his course. Why would that be required? And why is this in the book? Probably to keep it accurate as to how retarded universities can be when it comes to their policies. Well, this credit's going to transfer, this one will not. In order for you to get this degree, even though the professor does not speak German, you will be required to do so. Things like that. So, there's several events that happen within the movie. And in all honesty, the opening scenes with Adam and the other university professors kind of took me back to a time that I'm pretty sure doesn't freaking exist anymore. And it is when university professors were actually highly intelligent people. Yes. They were nerds of their study. They had a certain way of doing their lectures. It drew you in. They were passionate. They used big words that you wanted to look up later in this thing called the dictionary. And that was what was displayed in probably the first 20 minutes of this film. There's a lecture where one professor is talking about Elvis, Adam Driver is talking about Hitler. Obviously, there's really no comparison, except, occasionally they would come across something. But for the most part, this was something that kind of surprised me. And that's the thing with Don DeLillo's books, is that he really tries to encompass a period of time. He's done this with other books like El Libre, which is all about the Kennedy assassination and the things going on during that time period with Kennedy. And of course, that book is surrounded by Lee Harvey Oswald, trying to figure out who Oswald was. This guy who moved to Russia, married a Russian woman, was allowed to come back in the United States, all this craziness. Then there was, I believe the book was called The Fall Guy. Haven't looked it up, but I did read it years ago. That one was about 9/11. And it was a lot shorter than his previous works, but it was a series of essays, a long discussion about the guy who, one of the people, but there's a famous photograph of him, falling out of the World Trade Center on 9/11. And of course, when this event happened, everyone knew that the man willingly threw himself out of the building. He's plunging headfirst towards the ground. At some point, it was decided that going to your inevitable end was preferable to what was happening in the building. And that was the conversation Don DeLillo was having in that book. And yeah, you want to understand 9/11, check that one out. So one of the other events in this movie is the airborne toxic event, which is not to be confused with the band. Is that band still around? I surely hope not. But anyways, truck hits into a freight train. Both of them are carrying toxic chemicals. And there's an explosion, a fire, and then there's a cloud of gas. But it's a heavy cloud, one that travels, and if you breathe it in, you're done for. So everybody in town is panicking. The family jumps into the station wagon. They they're trying to escape this gas, which just seems to be following them. And I don't know, I thought it was pretty hilarious, and it was very comical, as such events usually are. But later on, it goes into Driver's relationship with his wife, the overall sense of fear and panic that one day you're going to die. You didn't know that? Everybody has a final destination. And yeah, that was the conversation that, well, it's a topic that comes up during the movie. So of course, this comes up, and these are, I would say, almost middle-aged people who are in this relationship after a series of failed relationships. They're raising their kids. All their kids are a little messed up in their own ways. And yeah, of course, the characters at some point, as they do in these novels, they think about their own end. I mean, isn't that what most of these books are about? You go back to Don Quixote, and you know, why is it he decides to live his final time as a knight, like in the novels that he enjoyed? Because he's not satisfied with how he lived his life prior to that. Don't we all kind of feel that way at some point? So White Noise, overall, cinematography was great. They really nailed the decor and the costumes. I felt like they really nailed what professors were like at the time. Of course, the subject matter was something that Don DeLillo himself was deeply interested in. So if there was an author who could make the impression of writing the character of a university professor, it's probably him. Having said that, how would I rate this movie? Well, I'll make some comparisons. If you like Little Miss Sunshine, you'll probably like this. Little Miss Sunshine is one of those movies that is deeply dear to me. It introduced me to a lot of actors and characters that beforehand I wouldn't have given a second glance to. And that's really not even the actors themselves that are responsible for that, but the characters that they portrayed. And this one has characters that I'm deeply sympathetic to. So, there's a few other movies I could compare it to, but that one was the first to come to mind because of the nature of their adventures and the sense that they're still, even at their age, figuring out who they are. And if there's one thing I don't like about certain characters in different stories, it's when they are well established and you know for a fact that they're not going to change whatsoever. It's very stale, it's boring, and you want to know whether or not these people can do what needs to be done, even though it contradicts who they previously were before. So, I'd say four stars out of 5. Adam Driver did a really good job with this. You know, he's an actor that I really did not care for, had little interest in due to his first appearance in those movies with the wars and the stars, which shall not be talked about. I freaking hated that character. I hated all the characters in those movies. But we don't talk about that here. Anyways, so Adam Driver, he's made up for quite a bit of mistakes along the way. I do seem to appreciate his lower budget, more dramatic roles in his movies as opposed to other things that he's done in the past. And I'm kind of looking forward to him doing other things besides that which is not discussed here, if you know what I mean. So White Noise, it's new to Netflix. You can find it over there. It is enjoyable, entertaining. I really enjoyed the characters in the film. The plot moves along as if it's a period of time in somebody's real life. And yeah, I'd say 4 out of 5 stars. Go check it out.